Africa. I'm Arjomandi, the founder and CEO at Mimic Technology. I'm honored to be here at the Singularity Summit event and to have the opportunity to share my observations about the market, which I'm here not only as an entrepreneur, technology evangelist, but as a sister who I believe that Africa has a huge potential to leapfrog to the next generation of the hyper-connected digital world and avoid some of the mistakes that we made as the early adopters in US, North America, and Europe. This is the opportunity to build the digital infrastructure and business model in the right way. Let me share a bit about my life experience and my journey in life so that you get the perspective into the lens that I'm looking through things. I escaped Iran about a decade after the revolution, Islamic revolution happened. And that was during the time that I was also a teenage and life had become quite difficult and unbearable to live. And I saw how overnight extreme poverty, inequality, a lack of proper democracy had turned one of the most favorable countries in Asia into a disaster, and unfortunately many countries after that followed suit. I escaped, and after struggling for being a refugee and migration from one country to another country, including Dubai, Turkey, Sweden, I finally landed in Canada, where I studied my electrical engineering degree in Concordia University. And after the university, I started moving around for work in different countries and in cities. I consider my life journey a privilege that gave me a global perspective. I started my professional journey in software development and communication protocols for the mobile internet. I thought that what I'm doing is enabling a more free access to information that will help people to come together and provide information to poor people, to enable the level of the playfield and bring more wealth equality across the world. I thought that young people in Middle East and Africa will get the same access to the quality lectures from top universities. I thought that thought leaders and artists from across the globe will be able to get the best educations and opportunities that young people in the US and Canada and Europe have got. I thought that we would fill this digital divide and pave the path for a massive socio-economic growth. Today I'm hopeful as ever, but I'm not as naive. I'm armed with learnings of some massive false steps that I will encourage you to not copy from what we went through. Let's go through some of these examples. First and foremost, the mobile internet brought massive transformation to the way we live, work, and function every day. But not all of them were positive. Internet and social media transform the way that we communicate, we access information, and we reach friends and family across the world. Thanks to the internet, we can get access to amazing information and content of any topic. We can quickly learn skills, upgrade existing skills. We have access to amazing apps from maps to shopping tools to productivity tools and learning tools. However, according to a group of MIT Sloan professors, false information is 70% more likely to be retweeted on Twitter than the truth and will reach the first 1,500 people 6 times faster. They also found that AI, machines, or bots spread true and false information in the same rate. That means that the chances are that most of the information that we're accessing are false and misinformation. It is now well understood that the underlying cause of the spread of misinformation is the broken business model of the mobile internet, which led by data exploitation, enabling the advertising model. We should have guessed that sensational fake news, conspiracy theories, superstitious, false promises grab more attention, get more eyeballs, and can help sell more advertising. In the US alone, the size of advertising was more than 350 billion US dollars last year, and roughly 70% of that went only to two companies. What are some of the further examples of this negative impact? Let's go through them. 30,000 young people were recruited from developing countries from the West to go to Iraq and Syria and fight for ISIS against the West. The US election revealed a massively polarized United States with a strong influence from neo-fascism and the most dangerous elements of populism. And still almost 50 million people falsely believe that the US election was stolen. On top of this, mobile internet did not help addressing income equality. In fact, in the golden decades of mobile internet, between 2010 to 2020, income equality between the bottom 90% to top 1% grew by almost 20% in the United States. Now, what should Africa do to ensure a digital transformation that will lead to a social prosperity, economic growth for the majority of the population? We need to learn from past experience and do not pull all tech investment growth into shiny apps funded by data exploitation and advertising model. We also should discourage the growth of tech monopolies through the two-sided business model and instead build on the momentum of decentralization in all aspects, such as decentralization of computing, cloud, communication, and business networks. You all know about decentralized technology, decentralized ledger technology, and blockchain in the financial and business transactions that can get rid of middlemen and bring massive potential efficiencies in the transactions. So I'm not going to talk about that, except for the obvious warning that be careful. We need to have some checks and balances. Otherwise, in the hand of bad actors, these technologies could be abused. And instead of talking about blockchain and DLT, which you guys are very well aware of, I will focus the rest of my talk on investment in digital infrastructure that includes cloud as massive investment that's required for the next generation. In the last 40 years, we have transitioned from centralized to decentralized computer as the devices have received more and more computational capabilities. In the first era, we had mainframe, and then we went through decentralized computing with the advent of personal computer, those big PC devices that we used to have on our desks. And then we went to centralized via cloud computing. So it was mainframe as centralized, decentralized with PC, cloud as centralized, and now we're going back to a decentralized computing called hybrid edge cloud computing, where edge is the available compute on device where data source is. This trend can help Africa immensely. Hybrid edge cloud computing will reduce the need for massive infrastructure investment in data centers. It will lessen the burden on communication networks. It will provide and enable much higher data privacy, which prevents data exploitations, which was endemic to the mobile internet. And it will reduce the energy consumption and therefore carbon footprint, which is essential for building a sustainable economy. Today, most of the applications are built based on a client, a front-end application running on your device. You download Facebook, you download Twitter, you download your shopping application that are constantly communicating with their backend that is hosted on cloud. Now, it makes sense to operate in this form of client information and server because in the early stage of mobile internet, it was about mobile connecting to internet to consume information, and content would be hosted in cloud. That's where the most of functionality was about rendering information. But as the applications got more complex and the devices that are in our hand become more powerful, does it actually make sense to continue in that fashion? Especially as we are transitioning from mobile internet era to hyper-connected world era, which, as we discussed, mobile, internet, consume content, hyper-connected world, digital intersect with every aspect of our physical life as more devices, connected devices are coming to our lives, more compute is available on these devices, information gets started from these devices, and as we have AI, blockchain, smart mobility, and robotic pretty much embedded with every aspect of digital world. So digital will surround our physical world, and these devices need to communicate with each other, mimic the physical interaction. So what are some of the examples of that? Your thermostat is producing information. Your car is generating data. Your thermostat will need to get information from your solar panel. So that's where devices are creating data, and they need to exchange knowledge if we truly believe in an AI-driven, fully automated world. So in fact, most applications, if designed correctly, can offload most of the processing now on the same device where the applications is residing. This is called the edge device, right? So, and that by delegating processing of tasks on the same device, you can actually reduce the cost by almost 90% on many examples and only delegate 10% to so-called servers. What are some of the examples of that? Mining, smart cities, agtech, agricultural tech, fintech, healthcare, education, content caching. Perhaps there are few only exceptions, such as broadcasting and live content to a global or a big region distribution. But almost all applications can be built in a standard so-called microservice architecture, but utilize the power of device where the application is residing. Now, when you talk about edge cloud computing, there are many flavors of it, and they all bring some kind of a value. We often use this parable of elephant and blind man to describe the different views. We can delegate the computation of a task to a base station. We can delegate it to a regional data center, to a gateway at the premise, to an on-premise data center. But the most impactful is where you delegate the processing of tasks where the data source starts. In another word, I always refer to it as where the data journey starts. So now, what does it take to do this? You can use hybrid edge cloud computing platform to enable hosting the task or so-called processing the task or microservices on edge devices where the data source starts and where the applications are, with a slight change into the way that we design applications. In other words, we build the application, we make sure that the local device can host as much functionality and processing tasks as possible that handle through microservices and RESTful API, the standard way that we develop for cloud today, and delegate the rest of that task, things that the device itself cannot process, to other computers such as base station, such as another device or gateway, regional data center, on-premise data center, and cloud. But by only doing that for 10%, 15% of the task. And all it takes is a slight change of view to the way that we actually developing software solutions and we're approaching them. This is only way that we're able to scale for the massive processing and the energy needs in the hyper-digital connected world. With that, let's edify the world together to reduce the digital waste and carbon footprint, to protect our digital footprint and prevent data exploitation, to increase our profitability and enable a sustainable digital economy in Africa. Thank you.